All right, everyone, welcome to Spring Cleaning for the Soul. I have some music on for us. I want to make sure it's not like too loud, so I'm actually going to turn it down and I'll turn it back on again when we are doing our breath work and our journaling and everything, because I know that music is such an important part of the vibe. We are going to share some slides today. And so let's make sure we've got our slides taken care of. Percent. Okay. So at this point, should be able to see slides, should be able to see me, and we are just going to dive right in. So this is Spring Cleaning for the Soul. And my intention for this class is really that you will come away feeling much lighter, feeling maybe relieved about a situation that has felt tricky for you, maybe feeling more confident about a manifestation that you've been working on, or honestly just feeling refreshed because in this part of the world where I'm in, New York, it's springtime and we are really just here to be reborn. So think rebirth, renewal, refreshing vibes, and you can do anything that you need to do to bring that energy in, whether you want to light a special candle, whether you want to put music on that helps you feel revived and refreshed and renewed in the background. Sometimes when I'm listening to different classes and workshops, I will put my own music on another tab or on my phone or something like that, and that will kind of help me get into the frequency. So do whatever works for you. Think about your five senses, and you can take a moment right now and just do whatever you need to get into the energy of refresh, renewal, spring cleaning. And I will have a sip of tea while you do that. Moving into our next slide. Oh, actually, before we go to the next slide, I wanted to make sure that I took a moment to really share not just my intention for this workshop, but like why we're doing this. Why did I create this? Why are we taking hours out of our lives to do this work? So, the things that I'm going to be sharing in this workshop and in manifestation workshops moving forward, because that's definitely something that I'm going to be incorporating more and more into my offerings. The reason I'm doing these is because these workshops, taking time on a weekend usually or in the evening to get cozy, light candles, relax, dream, explore, heal, process. That is the bread and butter of my whole spiritual practice. That is the bread and butter of how manifestation looks for me in my life. And I have a whole program, Moody and Magnetic, where I teach manifestation over the course of several months and we go into various manifestation concepts. But when it comes to just living and breathing the work, that comes from taking the time out of your day, out of your life to hold space for yourself, for your vision, for your dreams, for the feelings that you need to process that might be in the way of you creating your dreams. Like this spring cleaning, the work that we're going to do, that is really the stuff, the habits that I want you all to get into as you are creating your life. And so while I'm holding this during the time of the spring equinox, I want you to know that these are practices that you can use no matter what time of year it is, no matter where you are in the world, because I know for some of you, you're in the southern hemisphere and it is autumn right now. That doesn't matter. You know, we have this concept called spring cleaning, and it is actually very aligned and apropos given what we're going to be doing today. But this is work that you do continually. This is the kind of work that you could do every month. You could do, weekly. You could do it as often as you feel called. There's no wrong way, but I want you all to start incorporating this into your life. And as a way to help you do that, I am going to be holding these workshops more and more to make sure that we have space and that you have guidance for how to actually implement this in your day-to-day reality in your life. So knowing the concepts, knowing the principles, that is very important. And again, I go very deep into that with my students in Moody and Magnetic, but carrying them out, living them, that's the workshops. That's what we're doing right now. It's like making the time to really embody the practices. And as I have made space for this in my own life, that has been what's allowed my business to emerge. That's how I manifest my clients as I take time, just like what we're doing, and I sit down and I do the practices and I hold the vision and I hold space and I make sure that I'm doing that as often as I need to. And I actually make little pockets of time each day to do some version of this. And that is how I am continuously receiving clients into my business. When there was a season of my life where I really wanted to move, I was living in Southern California, and my partner at the time and I had decided we wanted to live in California, but I just did not like SoCal. I wanted to move to the Bay Area. What did I do? I did these workshops. These are the kinds of things that really have moved my life forward whenever I've decided I wanted a change, whenever I've decided I wanted a new chapter, and then also for the continual maintenance of just continuing to move forward towards all of my goals. It's this kind of work that keeps my life moving forward. It's this kind of work that allows me to be in a state of continual expansion and evolution. And that is what I want for all of you. So whether you are here manifesting something specific and you know what that is, and you're like, I am going to do this workshop and this workshop is going to bring me closer to that one particular goal, or whether you're here and you don't have a lot of clarity on your vision for your next step, but you just know that you want a refresh and you want to start a new chapter of your life, this workshop is exactly where you need to be. We're going to spend some time getting clear on your vision, whether you are further clarifying something that you already know about, or whether you are starting with a blank page. No matter what, we're going to show up, we're going to heal, we're going to process. And it all starts from that moment of being clear with yourself what it is that you actually want. So I'm going to get ahead of myself if I don't change slides soon, but I do want to make sure that you have something to write with, whether it is a physical journal or a phone or, whatever it is that you're going to use to take notes. There's a lot of journaling in this workshop, so have somewhere to journal. Make sure that you have a cozy space to do breath work and to meditate, because we're going to be doing some of that by the end of the workshop. So whether you need to go to a different room or just alert the people around you that you are going to need some quiet time in about an hour, that's important. You can also do this in stages. So sometimes when I'm doing my manifestation workshops, I will do all the journaling and then I'll even get ready for bed. And then at night, I'll do the breath work and the hypnotherapy and all this stuff that, like, is more physical, more somatic. And then I'll just go right to sleep. So this is yours. Use it however you want to. You will have the replay of this forever. So there's no right or wrong, but just thinking about having some place to journal and then having a cozy, supportive space to do your breath work, do your meditation. I have a cup of tea here with me. I also have water. So if you need some emotional support beverages, you can go ahead and get those. And I will meet you at the next slide. Okay, so what to expect for today. I always like to do a little slide at the beginning that's just like context, grounding. What the hell are we even doing? So that's this slide. It's important to remember that we are not creating life alone. Despite the mainstream narrative, despite what you might have been raised with, despite what everyone else in the world might believe, I believe, and I trust that if you're here, you also believe or are open to believing, we are not in this alone. We are always teaming up with the divine, with source, with God, with the universe, with spirit, with whatever it is that you believe in. The language doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is that you have some sense that you are being guided, that you are supported, that you are protected, that there is a plan for your life, And when I say a plan for your life, I don't mean that um, you have no choices and no options and no agency. I mean that someone cares about you, someone is looking out for you, someone loves you and has intentions for you and wants the very best for you and is very excited to help you live out the very best for your life. That's how I think about it. And I also try to remind myself that, like, whenever I have a plan, quote unquote, for my life, and it doesn't go the way I thought it was going to go. So, big example, I was engaged to someone for like, we were engaged for 2 years, but we knew each other for 7 years. We were friends. We dated for like 4 years, and for 2 of those years, we were engaged. So, I was engaged. I thought I was going to be with that person for the rest of my life. The plan that I'm saying God had a plan for me here was not obviously for me to be with that person for the rest of my life. But when I can remind myself God has a plan for my life, what it reminds me is that my life hasn't gone out of control just because I am not seeing my life unfold the way I thought it would. That doesn't mean everything's gone to hell. That doesn't mean that, like, I'm just floating out here in no man's land. I always tell myself in those moments where things have gone quote unquote awry or like off the rails that God has a bigger plan. God has a better plan. The plan that I came up with is just one version of how my life could go, but obviously it wasn't the best version. There has to be something better. And that is why this plan is falling apart. So, whether you needed that message now, whether you will need it in the future, you have it now. And I hope that that supports you as you are navigating your life. But in order to bring our visions to life, so obviously you're here, you want to manifest, you're here, you want to reset something, you want to start a new chapter. In order to do that, we all need to carve out time to listen, right? To actually get quiet and to be curious and open about this plan for our lives, not just imposing our will, but actually sitting back and saying, like, what's the best case scenario for my life, not just what I think is supposed to happen. So we need to listen. We need to actively let go of control. So again, when you find yourself in moments where it's like, I don't know what's happening. Why is this happening? Why isn't that other thing happening? What's going on? Releasing, and remembering we are always being guided, and to remember that, like, we don't have to micromanage our lives. And it is important for us to actively remind ourselves of that, because as we go through the world, we are interacting with people and interacting with belief systems that will tell you you have to micromanage your life, you have to force things, you have to, like, obsess over every little detail, otherwise your life isn't going to work. We have to remind ourselves and come into alignment. It's okay to let go of control. It's okay to release this, because God has a plan for my life, because I am being divinely guided, because whatever it is that makes sense for you in this moment. And then we also have to invite God always, always to reorient us in the direction of our highest and best. And so, a lot of times, without even knowing it, we might accidentally orient ourselves in a direction that is not the best for us. So, for example, when I was in this relationship that I mentioned, that was me orienting myself in a direction that was not the best for me. And looking back, now I see that. Obviously, I didn't realize that for years, but at the time, I was orienting my own life in that way. I was taking control over this area of my life and feeling like, okay, I have to quote unquote micromanage this. I have to make sure this goes a certain way. And when I really started to open up and soften and to say, you know what, God, this is my vision, this is my plan, but what's your plan for my life? And I'm willing to be redirected. I'm willing to be guided here. I'm willing to let you tell me that this isn't what's right for me. When I started to invite more of that in, that's actually when the relationship fell apart. And honestly, that is just a really big testament to remembering that, like, when we come up with a plan, when we orient ourselves, it's okay. But we do have to always invite God, invite source, invite spirit to align us if we go out of alignment. And again, this isn't like to be mean to yourself. This is just to remember like we are limited human beings. We do the best we can, and we always invite God to fill in the gaps and to give us that gentle correction whenever we need it. And sometimes that will come in the form of a big life change. And sometimes that will come in the form of like, actually, I'm noticing that I have this habit that doesn't support me. So maybe I'm going to stop doing this thing, or I'm going to start living differently in a smaller way. So always just inviting guidance in. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to reprogram our spiritual GPS. We're going to let go of anything that has us oriented in the direction that we don't need to go in life. And we're going to keep opening up to the direction that we know we need to go in, which is the direction of our highest and best. So this will become more clear later, but that is my best explanation of what it is that we are doing. And I hope you're as excited as I am. So before we do anything, let's meditate. If you are able, get yourself into a cozy meditative posture. So that could be seated, you could lay down, you could stand with just all four corners of your feet on the floor, really pressing your feet firmly into the floor. Whatever feels good to you is perfect in this moment, and it might change, you know? Maybe you'll come back to this in 2 weeks and you'll want to meditate differently. Just feel into what feels right now. Close down your eyes if you are able, if you're in the position to do so. And just allow your muscles to soften. Allow your muscles to release and relax. And just scan your body for any tension. And just invite that tension to flow down, maybe all the way down out of the bottoms of your feet, allowing yourself to continue arriving into this moment, trusting that everything that's meant to happen during this workshop will happen for you, that you can't do it wrong or mess it up. Remembering that there is so much grace for you in the world, there's so much grace for you in life. Remembering that you are safe. Remembering that the right things will always find their way to you and the wrong things will always find their way out of your life because you are taking time to get into alignment. Maybe taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up. Thank yourself for being here and for doing this. You could be doing anything right now, but you chose to spend time on yourself and on your life, and that matters. And so just being proud of yourself, just for showing up, giving yourself that participation trophy that you deserve, because participating is a choice that you made and you get to honor that. And what just dropped in for me is you are in the arena daring greatly. Just like Brene Brown says, it's so easy to sit on the sidelines of life and to judge people. But instead, you are opening up. You're being courageous. You're stepping forward. You're willing to look at things. You're willing to heal. You're willing to do something new and different that maybe you haven't done before or that you haven't seen other people do. You're willing to design your life. And so giving yourself a big hug and a lot of encouragement in this moment. Continuing to just open up to what else is possible for your life, what else is possible for your day. Remembering always, always that if you can let yourself have a good day, you can let yourself have a good life. And on that note, let's take a big deep breath in, filling up the belly, the rib cage, and chest. Oh, letting it go. Taking any organic movements that feel right for your body and gently, slowly opening up your eyes. All right, here we are. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Setting intentions. So, if we're going to reprogram our spiritual GPS, we need to know where we're going. And while I considered having you set an intention for this class and just ask yourself, like, why am I here? I want us to go bigger, and I want us to do an exercise that I like to call peeling the onion. And this will make sense soon. But I want us to think about a big vision for our lives. Not just what do we want to see happen in the next 2 hours, but what do we want to see happen in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, who are you becoming? Where are you going? And to give you some support in sitting with this, I wrote down a couple areas, and these are the areas that I use when I'm manifesting my life. I think about spirituality. And so, what do I want my relationship with the divine to look like? What do I want my relationship with God to look like? And sometimes I'll even think about different like habits or practices, or like, how do I want that to look? So maybe it'll be like, I want to be a person who prays every day, or I want to go to Sedona and really like be in the energy of the desert. Like maybe it's something like that. Or it really could be like, maybe I want to trust God more with things. Maybe I want to be more at peace in my life and to trust that I'm being guided. Like whatever comes up for you there is perfect. Career, self-explanatory. I separate career from finances. Some people put it together. The reason I make it separate is because I believe my career has more to do with like my calling. Who do I want to help? How do I want to help them? What do I want to create and share with the world? And obviously, I do have goals for like how much money my business is making, but I think about it more broadly. And I also, because I have a business, the amount of money my business makes impacts my personal finances, but obviously my business has its own bills and it has its own financial structure. And so I know that some people will make their career and their finances together, but for me, I as a responsible business owner, I separate out my business's finances from my personal finances. And then I look at my personal finances, which are like, what are my responsibilities? What are my goals? Where do I want that area of my life to look? How much do I want in different accounts? What do I want my different investments to look like retirement and all that stuff? So that is how I think about finances. Relationships, self-explanatory, family, friends, romance. I also think about my relationship with myself here as well, health and wellness. Um, you know, this could be fitness, this could be nutrition, this could be anything going on in your body that you want to heal. This could be anything going on mentally that you want to heal, or just even beyond healing, like what is an expansive vision for health and wellness? Do you want to be able to run a marathon? Do you want to be able to, like, what works for you here is perfect. Personal growth and your interests. So one example for me here is I am a language learner. I've learned Spanish and Portuguese, and I really want to keep up with those languages. And I intentionally spend time every week, like working on them. So that could be personal growth, any books that you're reading, anything that you want to learn or practice that just matters to you personally. that helps you become the person that you want to be. That could be personal growth and interests, and then home and lifestyle. So it could be something as specific as like where you want to live. Like how I said, I was living in Southern California. I wanted to live in the Bay Area. If maybe you do want to move. It could also be lifestyle like travel, or I'm personally building a capsule wardrobe right now. So that's like a lifestyle thing. Whatever comes up for you. Again, you can't really do this wrong, but I have these guidelines here so that you can start to think about what are my what are my desires in each of these life areas. So I'm going to give you some time now to journal and to just get very clear. What is your ideal vision for your life in the next 3 to 5 years? And you can refer to these areas to give yourself ideas of what to write about. Key thing here, do not overthink it. You literally can't do it wrong, but it's important to take some time to just process this and get aware. So I just looked at the clock. I'm like, how are we doing on time? I'm getting over a cold, so just like 1 second. I was trying to figure out how to mute myself. Where am I? Okay, we're back. Oh man. Okay. I was looking at the clock. I was like, okay, how are we on time? Because I want us to start doing breath work at 4, but I think we're good. So let's take like 5 minutes and journal through this prompt and get really clear, like, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? You can put on any music that feels good for you, and I will put on some music that feels good for me. And I will let you know when 5 minutes is up and when we're going to move on to our next prompt. Turn my music down. We went a little bit over on that one. Ooh. I totally should have cleared my throat before I unmuted myself, but that's okay. We went a little bit over on that prompt, but I wanted to make sure I gave you plenty of time to define your vision, and hopefully you're feeling super clear and expansive. And I'm also just going to put out there the hope and the intention. You let yourself play and dream really big while also being very authentic to who you are. Because at the end of the day, there is the option to pull a vision off of social media or Pinterest or, what you see your friends having or whatever it might be. LinkedIn, even, you might just feel tempted to pull a vision from somewhere. But I want you to practice pulling the vision out of your heart. And there will be more space and time, and I will do so many other workshops where we like go into this more. But as you're thinking about your vision and as we do the next couple of prompts, keep your heart centered. Keep yourself um really in touch with what you feel called to create and do and have, and let go of what other people would think of you, or let go of even like maybe something that a past version of you wanted that doesn't feel aligned right now. Like, really take the moment to arrive and to get present. And you can even like revisit these questions from that place if you feel like there are any amendments or adjustments that you want to make to your vision after I just said that. So the next place we want to look, given what your vision is for the next 3 to 5 years, what do you need to focus on for the next 12 months? And so if in 3 years you want to own a townhouse, let's say that's one of your visions, that's one of my visions. So let's say you want to own a townhouse. What do you need to be focusing on for the next 12 months? Well, if you want to own a townhouse, for me, I don't own any property, so I probably need to just get myself prepared for home ownership. I need to start learning about home ownership. I need to start getting my finances in order for home ownership, continue to build up a big bank account balance so that I can actually pay for this home and maintain it, and any renovations that might need to happen, like financially planning, and then also educating myself. Those are like two things that I might need to focus on in order to move myself towards this vision that I have for like the future further out. So thinking about whatever you wrote down, scale it back a little bit and start to reverse engineer, like, what are you going to need to focus on for the next 12 months given where you want to be 3 to 5 years from now. And I'll give you 5 minutes to journal on that one, and I'll let you know when we are done. All right. So now we have an understanding of what we are looking at for the next 12 months. And to finish peeling the onion, we are going to bring it super close to home. So, given what you just wrote down, what do you need to focus on in terms of the next 3 months? So, just making it very, very tangible. And I hope you can tell the reason that we did this is because we want to make sure that you're not just thinking randomly, like, ooh, what would be cool to do this spring? And of course, there's space for that. There's space for, like, I would like, maybe there's a trip you want to go on, or you want to have a picnic, or you want to like do certain things during the springtime because it's fun. But in terms of creating those big shifts in your life, we want to make sure that we are doing things over this next season that are lining you up to the bigger chapter that you want to create with your life. So we looked at 3 years, 3 to 5 years. We looked at 12 months. And now, as we look out over this next season, this next 3 months, what do you need to focus on? So, with the townhouse example, what are the things that I need to focus on financially in order to get myself continuing to take those steps towards the townhouse? And you will need to think about like, what do you need to focus on again over these areas? Just whatever goals you came up with, keep running with it. It's perfect. But just give yourself some space right now and ask yourself and get quiet. Given where I really want to go, given my North Star, what do I need to focus on in this next 3 month window of time? And just trust that whatever comes up for you is going to be perfect. I will meet myself once again and I will let you know when it has been 5 minutes and we'll move on to the next prompt or to the next section. All right. Again, we went a little bit over, but I wanted to make sure that you had plenty of time to like get your intentions down. So at this point, what you should be looking at in your journal is your vision broadly for the next 3 to 5 years, your section of that you are going to focus on for the next 12 months, like what are your stepping stones, and then more of like action items, or like not even action items like a to-do list, but like this is my focus, this is my plan for the next 3 months. Like, where do you need to be putting your energy? Where do you need to be putting your time? Where do you need to be putting your resources? Like, what are your priorities given where you want your life to go? So that's what I'm hoping that you're looking at in this, intention setting section. And now let's talk about manifesting. So, since you know what you want, and since you're even more clear than you were before, let's say you came in with some level of clarity, even if it was zero, since you're more clear than you were before, now we can really dig into like, how do we bring this to life? What needs to happen so that this can become a part of my reality rather than just something that I'm writing about in a journal? So that's where we dig into the spring cleaning. That's why we're here. The main thing that I want to impress upon you when I teach this in Moody and Magnetic, I teach it as cleaning out the spiritual garage. So let's pretend that you want to manifest a new car. And in case it is not obvious, the car represents your vision, right? You might actually want to manifest a new car, but whatever you want to manifest. Let's say it's a car though. But your current garage is full of junk and you literally do not have anywhere to put this car. Maybe it's full of your old car. Maybe it's full of stuff like, you're just using it as a storage space. Whatever that might be, you have nowhere to put this car, despite the fact that you want this car. And that is where we find ourselves spiritually every time we decide to expand. And so, usually, what happens is we want to create a new chapter of our lives, but we don't have anywhere to put the new reality. We don't have the energetic, emotional, or mental capacity to hold that new chapter. And so I teach this in terms of like becoming available to your desires, but really what we need to think about, it's not just about logistics of, do I have, maybe the money? Do I have the time? But there's also a deeper internal component of, am I actually prepared for this? I was just interviewing someone for the Cozy Co-Creation podcast who went viral on YouTube and ended up going, and we were in the same content creation boot camp. So I literally watched this happen. In December, she hit 100 subscribers on her YouTube channel. It is now March, and she has 50,000. 100 to 50,000 over the course of like 3 to 4 months. And what we were talking about was the emotional and internal experience of having that big of a jump, of changing your life that much in that short period of time. And what I'm thinking of titling the episode is, are you mentally prepared to go viral? And I know that a lot of you are creating content online, but I also think this applies to anything. Whenever we decide we want to up level in some way, what needs to happen first is that we need to become the version of ourselves internally who is ready to have that new thing that we desire. And so, whether you do want a bigger community online, whether you want to go on a trip, no matter what it might be, we have a cleaning that needs to take place. We have to clear and release whatever it is that's in our spiritual garage. So the first step of manifestation is always, this is always step one, clear out the spiritual garage. So let's say step one is get clear on what you want, take the time to like cast your vision. But step one after that, maybe step two, clear out the spiritual garage. And when people leave this step out, that is when it feels like manifestation is not going anywhere, it's not working. a lot of teachers don't really focus on this step, but I make sure that I include it in almost everything that I do regarding manifestation because when we have the garage cleaned out, that is when we are actually a match to receiving what we want. That's when we're actually in a position to not just have it for a second and freak out and sabotage it, but to hold it and to live with it. We're creating a home for it in our lives. And so the thing that we're going to journal on next is what's in your spiritual garage. Now, I don't expect you to know what's in your spiritual garage, so I gave you some examples and we're just going to talk through what resonates with you as I mention these examples. So, some stuff that could be in your spiritual garage. You might have low self image, right? And when I say low self image, I mean you might feel like you're not the kind of person who gets to have the life that you want for whatever reason. You know, you might be defining yourself by a mistake that you made in the past, and you might be telling yourself, I can't handle money, or I'm not good with relationships, or whatever it is where you have taken an incident or even several incidents, maybe it was a whole pattern that you experienced, a cycle for a season of your life, but you're making that mean something about who you are as a person. And then the way that you're defining yourself is leading you to believe that you can't have what you want. And so low self image is a really important thing to be aware of. It's a really important thing to work on. And as you start to heal your self image, that will clean out your spiritual garage and start to make space for the new things in your life. And so, low self image, very important, something for you to reflect on. You might also have resentment in your spiritual garage. A Course in Miracles puts it like this, and I think it's very fitting. A Course in Miracles says you can have a grievance or you can have a miracle. And without going so deep into like the energetics and like the spiritual principles of this, just know for the sake of this workshop, if you are resentful of your current life, or if you are resentful of any people, experiences, patterns, trauma, anything that led you to be in the current circumstances you are in now, you have to clean that resentment out of your spiritual garage because that is taking up a lot of space. It's very energetically expensive to resent people and to resent yourself and to resent the circumstances that you are currently in, to resent the gap between where you are and where you want to be in life. Like all of that is so energetically expensive. And again, I'm not going to go into like the deep spiritual specifics of this because I want to be mindful of our time, but make sure that you notice whenever you're feeling resentment, either for circumstances or for people or for experiences that you've had in the past. This could also be yourself as well. And clear that out. And we're going to talk more about how to do the clearing and the cleaning. But what you need to do first is just identify like what's in there in the first place, what's in my spiritual garage. So I'm going to give you some quiet time to reflect. And then I also have here whatever else feels true for you. So these are some categories that are common, but you're a unique individual with your own life, your own story, your own goals. And, there might be something in your spiritual garage that I didn't anticipate and that I didn't put on the slide. But if you're doing this journal practice and something comes up for you as like, oh, this is a thing that um is in my spiritual garage, this is something that is taking up space internally that is making it harder for me to receive what I want, just write that down and don't question it. Don't try to make sense of it. These are really intuitive journal prompts. And so you might have something come up that doesn't make sense, but it feels true. So just go with that, whatever it might be. Just see what comes up for you. Let it be intuitive. You can't do it wrong. I'm going to set us a timer for 5 minutes and I will let you know when it is time to come back. All right. So now you have a sense of what is in your spiritual garage. And this is really important. So there are many ways to clean your spiritual garage. And the thing that I have found to be very reliable, very consistent, and very supportive for me in my life and for my clients is breath work. So, oops, excuse me, we are going to be using the second half of this workshop to do some breathing and really to breathe with the intention to release, to clear, to process, to heal, to let go. The journaling that you just did in terms of like anything that would leave you feeling like you can't have what you want or you don't get to have what you want, or any resentment that you're holding, like this primed the pump, so to speak. This oriented your energy field so that you are now going to use the breath work to release, to clear, to clean. When you go into a breathwork practice and you don't have any kind of prep work done, meaning you haven't taken some time to journal or to at the very least identify like what is the thing that I want to focus on here, what is the intention for this practice, you will still get a healing, like it'll still be transformative for you. But what will happen is it could feel a little bit random, or it could be a little bit hard to identify what actually happened. Like I'm thinking of a client I had who we did a breathwork session and she was like, what does it mean if nothing really happened or if I didn't notice any shifts? And there are many reasons why that could occur. But one of the things that is always important to do is to have a sense of direction before you move into any kind of healing work, and breath work being one of them. This is why yoga teachers will often ask you to set an intention for your practice, especially people who practice yoga through a more spiritual lens and not just purely for the sake of physical movement and like fitness, but really using yoga to heal your life. They will ask you to set an intention before your practice. And so, in the steps that we've taken in this workshop, you have set your intention for your breathwork practice. And that's what matters most, is that you have a sense of direction and also that you are willing to release. And so your free will is very, very powerful. When you decide, I am willing to let this go, I am willing to see beyond this. I am willing to outgrow this. I am willing to clear this. That sends a signal to the divine God, spirit, the universe, that sends an energetic signal out that you are no longer tolerating the way that things used to be, the way that you used to operate in the world. You're inviting change in. And when you combine your clear intention with your willingness to see a change, and then you bring that into a practice like breath work, it's no longer just breathing, it's healing. And that is what makes the difference between, okay, we're going to do some breathing and it's going to create a sense of temporary stress relief, or it's going to kind of, you know, do some cool stuff for our nervous system for a couple of moments. But this is how you create lasting changes in your life using these tools, is when you go into it, like I said, with that intention and with that willingness. So you've done that. You're here, you've got the willingness, you've got the intention. The next step is to breathe. Now, I had created a slide. I'm going to skip it though, because it's not exactly what I want at this point. I feel like I want to make a little bit of a change. So, in terms of getting cozy and getting ready to breathe, what I need you to do at this point is go into a room where you will not be disturbed, whether that is, and you could even do this outside, honestly, depending on where you're at in the world and what the temperature is like, and if you can be outside and it can be quiet for you and like relaxing. Like sometimes when I go on vacation, I'll do breath work in like the desert, or I'll do breath work at the beach. um Whatever you can do, but either go into a room or go outside, but be in a space where you are uninterrupted, where you won't be distracted, where You might want to do this in a way where you're not going to be in your head thinking about how people are perceiving you. So if that means going outside where people can see you is not going to be supportive for you, then that's fine. I am pretty shameless, and so I will do breath work on the beach where people can see me and I don't really care. But that depends on you. And so go to a space where you will be able to focus and where you will be able to just relax and unwind and drop into your body. For this practice, you have the option to lie down or to be seated, that you can't do it wrong, but just decide for yourself. And that might influence where you go. If you want to go to a space where you can lie down comfortably, you can lie down on a floor, a yoga mat, a bed. Like you can't do it wrong, but just get yourself comfortable. You might want to have blankets around you. Whatever you have is perfect. You can't go wrong. If you are lighting a candle right now, I would encourage you to practice fire safety and maybe don't have an open flame, because this practice, you need to be focused, and I don't want any part of you to be worried about an open flame while you're doing your breath work. So literally just turn off all distractions. If you have a candle, feel free to put it out. um you can have aromatherapy going if you have like ins- incense, if you have essential oils, anything that helps you, because smelling nice things is nice when you're doing your breath work, but we want to make sure that you're doing it in a safe and comfy way. So taking a moment to reorient yourself however you need to. And then I am going to also invite you, in terms of music. Music can really enhance a breathwork practice, and if you feel called, you can turn on some music that speaks to you. I like to do sometimes ocean sounds or sounds of nature. You can do spa music. You can do lo-fi music. You can just do your favorite songs. Like, there's no right or wrong. I used to include music in my workshops. And the reason I don't always include music in my workshops anymore is because I want you to be able to customize this to what feels right for you. And that might change. Like you might decide that you want to come back to this practice in a month and you want to play completely different music while you breathe. And you can do that. And you'll have my voice to guide you through the practice no matter what music you want to use. So put on music that speaks to you in the moment if you feel called. You could also do this without music. Sometimes I do breath work and I don't even have music on. So you don't need music, but you can put it on in a way that feels right for you. Let me check in and see if there's any other prep before we demo the practices. Music. I'm thinking through your five senses. So if you want to think through your five senses with me, you're welcome to. Hearing, so we got music. We also got any distractions that might be, messing with your ability to drop in. Taste, nothing really there for taste, but if you want to make sure you have water nearby, I would recommend that. Um, Smell, we talked about. Your sense of touch, we talked about in terms of having blankets if you feel called, just being cozy, being comfy, relaxing, maybe taking some stretches and organic movements if you feel called. Sight, you'll be having your eyes closed. Okay. Sound, smell, sight, touch, taste. Perfect. That's how I like to orient myself, if that's like a little hack for you all. Any kind of like just gentle nervous system work, ask yourself, how can you be kind to your five senses? And sometimes when I'm like, disheveled, not like super disheveled, but like when I'm like, I would like to reset my vibe a little bit, I'll just think about, okay, what can I do for my five senses? Can I do something to declutter my space? Like I'm looking right now, I have a pile of post-its because 2 nights ago I was writing out some YouTube video ideas. I'm like, I could probably do something with that pile of post-its, to be kind to my sense of sight. And it can be really cool to think about, like, how can I be kind to my five senses? And that can reorient your nervous system really quickly. So bonus tip for you there. Did not have that on the schedule, but I like to over deliver. So now we are prepared to breathe. Get yourself situated. Focus on me for a moment as I demonstrate what we're actually going to be doing. And, ooh, okay, I just needed to stretch for a second. We all don't need to stretch unless you really want to, but that's not a part of the breathwork practice. Um, we're gonna have two options today. I always give options because not every breathwork practice is appropriate for everyone's body. And depending on where you're at in life and depending on what's true for you somatically right now, what's true for your body right now, you will need something different. So, the most gentle option, which is appropriate for everyone, is equal ratio breathing. Now, that breathwork practice involves breathing in for a certain count, holding for a certain count, breathing out for a certain count, and holding again at the bottom for a certain count. The higher the count, the harder this practice becomes. You can choose for your own body what count feels best. So you might say, I'm going to breathe in for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, breathe out for a count of 3, and hold for a count of 3. You might choose something like 15, which is very advanced, and I would only recommend choosing 15 if you are comfortable that you can hold your breath for 15 seconds. And everyone's different. So you might say, okay, yeah, I'm comfortable. I can hold my breath for 15 seconds. And so you might do that. If you are not yet comfortable doing that, then choose a lower number, right? Um, 3 is a nice place to start. And so decide what works for you. You can adjust throughout the practice. Let's say you might start at a low number just to ease yourself in, and then maybe halfway through, you want to stretch it. You want to go from 3 to 5. You can do that. And so play with it, but just decide where you'll start and know that you can adjust it as much as you want to. And you'll also notice that the more you play with this practice, the easier it will become to decide on a count that is appropriate for you. And you might even notice that you can do longer and longer counts as your lung capacity improves, because the more breath work you do in your life, you're also building up your lung capacity. And so just something to think about there. Equal ratio, like I said, it's gentle, it's appropriate for everyone, it's very customizable. I teach this all in and out through the nose. And so we're going to stick with that. No mouth breathing, breathing in through the nose, holding, breathing out through the nose, holding. And remember, you're doing this with the intention to release whatever it is that has been in your spiritual garage. And one thing that I will say here as well before we transition into the next practice, before I explain the next practice, is that when you're doing your equal ratio breathing, this is a practice that a lot of people are familiar with, and therefore they can check out or zone out or like not give a lot of intention to the practice. What I would encourage is you actually finding a way to make this challenging for yourself. Because let's say you are like me and you're a trained breathwork facilitator and you've been doing equal ratio breathing for like a decade and you're like, okay, whatever, it's equal ratio breathing, blah, blah, blah. But and this is literally a practice that's taught to children in schools. So some people might be like, this is elementary. But when you choose a count that will challenge you, you will have a very powerful experience doing this practice. Like, there is really no limit to how challenging and how powerful this practice can be. It just depends on what you bring to it. So, if you are a seasoned practitioner and you go into this with a count of like 4, maybe that will be really easy for you and maybe you'll zone out and maybe you won't get a lot out of the practice. And so you probably should be picking 10 or 15 even. Like, bring something to the practice and you will get something out of the practice. That's what I'm really trying to say here. And of course, if you're a beginner or if you're someone who doesn't do breath work very often, 3 is a great count to start with, and you can play with the numbers as your body adjusts. But remember, breathing in for a certain count, holding at the top for a certain count, breathing out for a certain count, holding at the bottom for a certain count, and just letting your body choose the count that works for you. The other practice that is more advanced, and again, something that seasoned breathwork practitioners might be familiar with, is two-part breath. Dirga Pranayam is also what it is called in Sanskrit, and the equal ratio breathing is called Sarasriti Pranayam in Sanskrit. And so I like to say the Sanskrit names as much as I can because I acknowledge that like I didn't invent this and I am grateful to obviously this global world that we have where we can learn about practices from other cultures, but remembering where they came from is important to me. So Sarasriti Pranayam is the equal ratio, and then Durga Pranayam is the two-part breathing, and we are going to do that now. So I teach two-part breath in a very specific way. You might have learned two-part breath from someone else, and it might be different, but I'm going to go over how I do it because this is the way that gets the best results for my clients and that gets me the best results. So that's what we're going to do. I'm turning because I'm going to do a little demo of how this looks. So I like to have a hand on my belly and a hand on my chest. Why? Because it helps me focus. So I want to make sure I'm breathing into my lower hand. You can see my belly inflating. Breathing into my upper hand. You can see my chest inflating. And then letting it go. So it's a two-part inhale. And then you exhale. You let it go. And so that's what the breathing pattern looks like. Again, I like to have my hands on my body because it helps me focus. You can do whatever you want, but I would recommend at least starting with your hands on your body so that you can practice breathing in the correct way. We have 3 lobes of our lungs, and most of us are used to breathing in one certain way, and we have to actively use all 3 lobes of our lungs to practice breathing intentionally and to really get the most out of the practice. And so I want you to really feel your diaphragm, feel your lower belly filling up as you breathe into your bottom hand. Really feel it. And then as you're breathing up to your chest, really feel your chest filling up with air. And you might even feel your lower back filling up with air. Like, do you see how I'm just breathing? I'm breathing and my lower back is moving. That's because I have a lot of practice breathing in this way, directing my breath in this way. But again, no matter where you're starting, know that you can always bring more focus and more intention to your breathwork practice and get a lot out of it. So breathe with intention, direct your breath intentionally, and you will get the most out of this practice. And there is obviously neuroscience to back up why we breathe in the ways that we do. There are bundles of nerves at different parts of your body, and we stimulate them when we breathe in certain ways, and that creates chemical responses in our brain, and that's important. But I also want to say, like we talked about, we're here for spiritual reasons as well. And so having the combination of the powerful practice, doing the practice in a way that's really going to challenge you physically and be powerful for your nervous system is one piece of it, and that's very important. But also coming in with the intention and with the willingness, like I said before, those two things together are priceless and are very powerful when combined. So with all of that said, you don't need to focus on me anymore. You can turn on your music if you haven't already. You can lay down if you haven't already. You can get yourself situated, and we're going to move into our practice. And no matter whether or not you are going to be doing Durga Pranayama or two-part breath later. Oh, that's another thing. Sorry, but this needs to be said as well. How to know which breathwork practice to choose. So one is more advanced. The Durga Pranayama is more advanced. It is less gentle. You're breathing in and out of your nose for that one as well. You could also breathe in and out of your mouth for that one. In and out of your mouth is even more advanced and is even more it creates more of a physical response for your body if you breathe in and out of your mouth for the Durga Pranayam, for the two-part breath. So decide for yourself there, if you're gonna do Durga Pranayama, are you gonna breathe in and out of your nose, or are you gonna breathe in and out of your mouth, knowing that in and out of your nose will be more gentle, in and out of your mouth will be more advanced. Also, okay, guidance on how to know which breathwork style to choose. If you are pregnant, if you are on your period and you have cramps, if you are experiencing high blood pressure, if you have heart problems of any kind, those will be the sign that you need to do the two-part breath or the equal ratio, the Saraswati pranayama, the equal ratio breathing, picking your count, and breathing in line with that. The first practice we went over. Your body will react negatively if you do the other practice, or that's what I was taught, and I want to guide you in a direction that is like in line with your highest and best. So I would encourage you really strongly to stick to the gentler practice and bring your intention to it, bring your willingness to it, and know that it will be just as powerful for you because you are the one in control of how much you get out of anything that you do, right? I remember I was taking a candle magic class and the teacher was like, a candle in your head is just as powerful as a physical candle when you bring the intention to the candle in your head. And so it's not so much the object, it's not so much the breathwork practice, it's your willingness and your intention for what this breathwork practice means to you. And so have a strong intention and choose the practice that is best for your body. If you are not pregnant, if you are not having cramps on your period, if you are not if you don't have high blood pressure, if you don't have heart problems, you might consider doing the more challenging practice, doing the Durga Pranayama. And if that's you, that's perfect. You are more than welcome. Enjoy yourself. If you feel like you want to give yourself a break, you can always go back to the equal ratio breathing and give yourself a break. You don't need to push yourself super hard. It's really just giving you the chance to have the experience that you most want to have and that you feel called to have. Um, and then again, decide, will I breathe in and out of my nose for a gentler version of two-part breath, or will I breathe in and out of my mouth for an even more intense version of two-part breath? And so many, many options. Make your decisions if you haven't already, and then get into your posture. So lay down or sit comfortably. Whatever you choose to do is perfect. If you lay down, you will likely have a more intense experience. So make that decision, and know that what you want today might not be what you want tomorrow, but feel into what feels good right now. And from this place, close your eyes if you haven't already, and just open up by taking a deep breath and filling your breath all the way down, as far down as you can, filling up your belly, breathing into your rib cage now. So not quite your chest, but just in between your belly and your chest, breathing into your rib cage, and then breathing into your chest. And then letting it all go. So that was a big 3-part inhale that we just did, filling up the belly, the rib cage, and the chest. Let it all go. Filling up the belly, the rib cage, the chest. Let it all go. And this is just helping you practice using your full lung capacity, using all three lobes of your lungs. Continue breathing like this, filling up the belly, the rib cage, the chest. Let it all go. Filling up the belly, the rib cage, the chest. Let it all go. Just breathing, just like that. Practicing filling up the belly, the rib cage, the chest. Let it all go. Breathing at your own pace, in and out of your nose. Noticing how fast your body wants to move and breathe today. If at any point in the practice you are having trouble focusing, you can plant your feet on the floor. Even if you're laying down, you can bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor. You can start to imagine energetic roots coming down out of the bottoms of your feet as you breathe. Continuing to breathe in that way, filling up your belly, rib cage, chest, letting it all go. And just imagining those energetic roots stretching down, 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 down from the bottoms of your feet all the way down into the earth and into the center of the earth. Allowing your body to soften as you remember that you are connected to the earth. Allowing yourself to feel tethered and anchored there. It is safe to be on this planet. It is safe to be doing this work. It is safe to be living your life. It is safe to be dreaming and creating and manifesting. So just allowing all of that to be true. Feeling into those roots, those vines, those anchors, keeping yourself grounded. To continue grounding, just notice the connection between your body and the surface beneath you. Notice the place where your body meets the chair or the bed or the floor or the earth. Just feel into that connection. How does it feel? Are there textures? Are there temperatures? What are you noticing? How can you give a little more of your weight to that surface beneath you? How can you release further down into the ground, into the chair, into the bed, into the floor? Letting gravity do the work. Releasing your muscles, letting it all go, letting it all go, letting it all go. Continuing to breathe, checking in. Are you still breathing into your belly, your rib cage, and your chest? Letting it all go. And you can imagine your brain rolling out of the back of your head like a bowling ball. And with it, any overthinking, any anxiety, any worry, just rolling out the back of your head like a bowling ball. Any stress, any fear, any confusion. Are you doing it right? The question, are you doing it right? Let that go. You are doing it right. Be reassured. Allow yourself to relax. Allow your brain to roll out the back of your head like a bowling ball. Allow your neck to relax. Allow your head to relax. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your wrists and your hands to relax. Even as you are breathing and actively engaging your diaphragm muscles and your lungs, allow everything that doesn't need to work right now to relax in your torso region. Allow your hips to relax, your pelvis to relax, your glutes. We hold so much tension in our glutes sometimes without even noticing. Allow your glutes to relax. Allow your thighs to relax, your upper thighs, your lower thighs, your inner thighs, your outer thighs. Allow your knees to relax. Allow your shins and your calves to relax. Checking in once again with your breathing. Are you breathing in through the nose and out through the nose? Are you filling up your belly, rib cage, and chest as you let it all go? Allowing your ankles to soften and relax. Allowing your feet to relax. Maybe taking a few ankle circles, just circling your ankles back and forth in whatever way feels good to you before letting your ankles just drop and soften, allowing the arches of your feet to relax, allowing your toes to relax, maybe pointing and flexing your toes a little bit before you just let them go, sinking into the here and now moment. Feeling into total body relaxation. You'll move into your breathwork practice. So if you'll be using equal ratio breathing, take a moment now to decide what your count is going to be. So are you going to inhale, hold, exhale, and hold for a count of 3, maybe 5? You can't pick wrong. Just pick what feels good for you. You can always adjust it later. Take a moment to select your count, and then go ahead and start breathing as it feels right to you. Breathing in and out of the nose. And really practice those full breaths, just like we were doing, breathing into the belly, rib cage, and chest. Practice taking those full inhales and then letting it all go on the exhales. And during your holds, while you're holding your breath, just practice being kind to yourself, trusting yourself. If you've chosen a higher count, you're going to be holding for longer. Practice having confidence that you can do it. Give yourself a chance. And so that is equal ratio. If you're going to be doing our 2-part breath, I encourage you to place a hand on your belly and a hand on your chest. We'll start by taking a deep breath into the belly, a deep breath into the chest, and then letting it all go. Continuing to breathe in that way, filling up the belly, the chest, letting it all go. Filling up the belly, the chest, letting it all go. And if you are doing the 2-part breathing, I invite you to just pick a pace that feels good for you. The faster you go, the more intense it will be. The slower you go, the more gentle it will be. And so just feel into what you need right now. And know that you're doing it right. Know that you've got this. Trust your body, trust yourself, trust your intention and your willingness. And for my 2-part breath, family, for anyone who feels like you need to take a break, you can switch over into your equal ratio breathing whenever you need to. but your goal is to continue using the breathwork practice, using a breathwork practice, not going back to your regular breathing until I tell you that it is time to do so. And so from that space, I'll give you about 15 minutes to work with the breath intentionally, and then I'll let you know when it's time to come back and we'll move on to a transition out of the space. But for now, I'll let you have your own experience. And I'll pop back in maybe from time to time just to check in, see how you're doing, and give you a little encouragement. But know that you've got this. All right, you are about halfway through your breathwork practice, so just continue breathing. If you've lost focus or if you're finding it hard to drop in, you can always remember your roots coming out of the bottoms of your feet. You can get back in touch with the surface beneath you, feeling the textures and the temperatures of whatever it is you're sitting on or laying on. You can also feel the feelings of your hands on your body. So if you haven't already placed your hands on your body, you can go ahead and do that and just notice how it feels to place your hands on your body, and that can ground you. And then the key is to just keep breathing intentionally. There will be time in just a few minutes to return back to your normal breathing pattern, but for this moment, we want to focus and we want to be intentional and be devoted to this sacred time that we've created. Remaining devoted, remaining committed, remaining grounded. Maybe coming back to your intention for the practice. What is it that you are ready to clean and clear and release? What is it that you are letting go of in order to make space for what you're calling in? Remembering that your will and your intention is what's most powerful. Continuing to breathe for another few minutes. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. All right, so gently, slowly, keeping your eyes closed, just return to your normal breathing pattern. And so you might feel like breathing in and out of your mouth. You might feel like breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. You might feel like breathing in and out of your nose. Whatever you feel called to do is perfect. However, you feel called to breathe is perfect. Just allowing your breath to take its natural rhythm, given all of the effort and structure that you were just in. Allow it to feel free form, allow it to feel natural. Allow your muscles to release and to relax. Allow yourself to just drop down into this present moment, letting go of your practice, letting go of what just happened, letting go of any differences between what you thought would happen and what happened, and just coming here, stepping into the present moment, allowing your breath to guide you. Taking a moment to really thank yourself for showing up, not just for turning this on, but for showing up with your energy, with your presence, with your focus, for digging in, for going deep. This was an investment that you made in yourself and in your life. Your future self will be so grateful for you for doing this. And even those around you, people you know and people you don't know yet, who you'll know in the future, they will be glad that you did this work, that you took this time to be intentional, to hold space for yourself, to get honest with yourself about things, and to make new choices. And so just breathe and feel the feelings of a job well done. Feel the feelings of you did it. Let that dopamine wash over you. Maybe bring a gentle smile to your face and maybe wrap your arms around yourself. Maybe some of you might even want to clap a little bit or do a little fist pump in the air, do a little dance. What feels good for you while remaining in a gentle posture? So, not standing, but maybe a little seated shimmy, or maybe just whatever feels right, whatever feels right. Do whatever feels right. And as we celebrate ourselves, we'll bring to mind a couple things that we're grateful for right now, knowing that there's more to come, knowing that the best is yet to come. What can you appreciate in this moment? What are you grateful for? Eyes still closed. And then tuning in, what are you proud of yourself for? In general, in life, what are you proud of yourself for? What are you curious about? What are you curious about? What do you like about yourself? What do you like about yourself? From this space, we'll circle back around to those intentions that you set at the beginning, thinking about where you want your life to be 3 to 5 years from now. Letting any thoughts come to mind. If you are someone who sees visuals, you can let any visuals come to mind. If you're more of a sentient person, you can let feelings come to your body. No matter what, you can let thoughts come to mind. Where do you want your life to be 3 to 5 years from now? Letting that wash over you. What kinds of qualities does that person hold? Trusting that whatever comes to mind is perfect. What kinds of qualities does that person hold? And where are you already seeing yourself display those qualities? Where are you already seeing yourself display those qualities? Allowing yourself to relax and letting these questions just wash over you. You don't need to have answers right now. You might, but you don't need to. Your subconscious is very open right now after doing breath work. And so I'm just planting some seeds. And as you go through your day, your weeks, you'll start to notice the answers emerging in the most divine ways in the most divine time. So don't worry about thinking right now. Just relax and receive. Relax and receive. Just breathing, breathing, breathing in whatever way feels good to your body, in whatever way feels good to you. Starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes, keeping your eyes closed, just wiggling your fingers and your toes. Starting to circle your ankles and your wrists. Starting to point and flex your feet. Starting to reach your arms up over your head. And if possible, starting to bend and straighten your knees, depending on where you're sitting and if you're able. Letting all of that relax. Starting to shake your head yes and no, waking up your neck. Nod your head yes and shake your head no. And then in your own way, starting to just notice some sounds. You might obviously be noticing my voice. See if you can pick out another sound that's very relevant, that's very salient to you. Noticing that sound. Starting to notice how the air feels going in and out of your nose or in and out of your mouth. Noticing the temperature of the air, noticing if there's a smell to it. Starting to notice how your mouth feels. Does it feel dry? Does it feel nice and moistened? Whatever it feels is perfect. And then, in your own way, just allowing a sliver of light to peek between the eyelids. So, just letting a little bit of light in, like you're cracking a door open. And then just blinking, blinking, blinking your eyes open, coming back to the space. Welcome back. You did it. I am so proud of you. That was a big practice. And this was a big workshop, and I don't want us to just end. I want us to transition. So we are going to do a little bit of integration. I have 3 integration prompts, and I want you to take some time now to free write in response to these prompts. So first, write down anything that came up during your practice that you want to remember. Second, what would you be doing if you knew that your desired future was guaranteed or inevitable? And then third, what can you schedule for today or this week to act in line with where you are going? So these are in this order for a reason. Understanding what you would be doing if you knew your desired future was inevitable or guaranteed. That's practicing the law of assumption, where we assume it's going to happen and we just get curious, like, what would we be doing if we knew it was going to happen? And then what can you schedule for today or this week in order to actually act on that, in order to implement that? So journal through these prompts. I'm going to set us a timer for 5 minutes. So we're not going to spend super long on this, but know that you can always spend longer if you want to. I just want to be respectful of time, and I'll let you know when it's time to stop doing these journal prompts. So 5 minutes total, not 5 for each, but like 5 minutes total for these prompts. And I'll let you know when integration is over. All right. So that is integration. Again, you can come back to these prompts if you feel like you have more coming through for you. There is no actual time limit, but I wanted to keep us on a schedule because I know we are already over time and I want to be respectful of everyone's days and what everyone has going on. What's next? So before we go, I want to share a couple of things that I can do to support you even further. So I have a free workshop called Graduate from Good Vibes Only. I have recorded this workshop. I did it in 2022. I did it again in 2024, and I will be recording the 2025 version in just a couple weeks. So if you are here live, I will email you out the information for when that's coming up. If you're watching this on the recording, all of the information will be down below the video for how you can watch Graduate from Good Vibes Only. But that is really a workshop where I break down manifestation beyond the typical law of attraction, feel good, get a good life, feel bad, get a bad life. And just that like toxic positivity that can lead people to repress, and it's just it's not a healthy way. So Graduate from Good Vibes Only is a more nuanced look at creating an intentional life that does not rely on toxic positivity. And I love that workshop. That's why I keep doing it again and again. Moody and Magnetic is a trauma-informed manifestation program that I have also been running since 2022. We will be doing the 2025 version of it, and this will likely come out every year. So all the information about when I'm doing this and how you can sign up and all of that will be emailed out to you or will be down below this video. And that is going to be in the spring. I typically love to run that one in the spring. Sometimes I also run it in the fall, depending on the year, but it always runs in the spring and it will be coming up very soon. The U 2.0 retreat, that is happening in June. And that is a retreat to heal your relationship with personal development. So if you are a person who finds yourself pushing and stressing and really like trying to force your goals from a place of not feeling good enough as you are, we want to get you to the place where you can hold the nuances of how wonderful you are already with the genuine desire you have to change, and knowing that those two things both get to happen at once. I find that this can be very tricky for people. And I've even had conversations with people who are like, well, I'm not manifesting anymore because I'm content and I'm happy. And you can be happy, but you can continue to grow and expand and evolve. And then on the flip side, there's people who are like, well, I am manifesting and I'm pushing and I'm creating my life. And that means that I'm perpetually dissatisfied and upset. And we don't want you there either. So the U 2.0 retreat is an in-person, immersive weekend experience. It's a small group. There's only 4 people coming. And, oops, sorry. Oh my God. Thank you for bearing with me with this cold. I think this is the last day. And sometimes I just have like a random cough, but I otherwise feel amazing. And so I was like, okay, we're going to do the workshop. U 2.0. There's only 4 people coming. It's very intimate. And you get a chance to really work with me in an immersive way on creating the next version of your life and creating the next version of you from a place of love. So the tagline for the retreat is level up with love. And that's really what we're going to be doing over this weekend. So that's the U 2.0. And then private mentorship experiences and packages, those are pretty much always available. I am always happy to create some space to work with you one-on-one. Right now, I offer private retreats. So that's me traveling to you or you traveling to New York, whatever works best for you. And I design a really beautiful like day and a half. We'll do dinner the night before and then we'll spend the whole day together. And that is a chance to really dig into anything in regards to your personal spiritual growth, your career growth, your business, wherever you could see and feel intuitively that I can be supportive. I plug in there and I help you create the next chapter of your life in whatever way is the most helpful for you. And then packages, I have a 4-month coaching package and a 12-month coaching package. And those are opportunities where we work together on a weekly basis. And we also have ongoing support between sessions where we are just walking side by side to create the next version of you and to create the next chapter of your life. So, that is all that I had for you today. I am so looking forward to the next time I see you, whether it's at the free workshop, whether it's at the retreat, Moody and Magnetic, a private experience, whatever feels good for you, feels great for me. And until then, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I am rooting for you. Know that I am rooting for you as you create the next chapter of your life. I love you so, so much. Take good care. All right. And then there's always that awkward moment where I have to like stop the Zoom call. Okay. Take care. Love you.